So here we have 2012 question 4. This is Leaving Cert Ordinary Level, and this is a question on algebra. So this is what we're given, and we're asked to solve the equation. So the first thing that's kind of sticking out with me is that we have a half, so we have a fraction. So it might be handiest to get rid of our fraction. One way that we can get rid of our fraction is if we multiply both sides of both sides of our equation by 2. And when we have an equation, it's kind of like a balance. So if we do the exact same thing to one side and then the same thing to both sides, the equation stays balanced. So if we multiply both sides of the equation by 2, well then we're multiplying everything by 2. So we're multiplying this by 2. So because that's multiplied by that, we don't need to multiply that by 2 as well. We're multiplying this by 2, and then we're multiplying all this by 2. So we're multiplying 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. So it will cancel and we'll just be left with 1 or just 1 multiplied by 7x minus 2. We have 2 multiplied by 5, so that's going to be 10. And then we have 2, and we have to multiply it by both of these. 2 multiplied by 2x, which will give us 4x, and 2 multiplied by 7, which will give us 14. So now I'm just going to simplify this a bit. So that's just multiplied by 1, so that's just the same as having it like this. So plus 10 is equal to 4x plus 14. So now I might group my 10 and my minus 2 together, so that is going to be 8. So plus 8 is equal to 4x plus 14. And then I might put anything with x's on one side and anything that doesn't have an x on the other side. So I can subtract 4 from both sides. So 7x minus, subtract 4x, plus 8 is equal to 14. And now I might subtract 8 from both sides. So 7x minus 4x is equal to 14, take 8. So that's going to be 7x, take 4x, so that's going to be 3x, it's going to be 3x, and then 14 take 8, so that's going to be 6. So now I can divide both sides by what's attached to the x, so it's going to be x is equal to 2. And that is my answer for that one. And then the next part, I'm asked to solve the equation, and this is what I'm given. So 2x plus 1 equals 2.5. So I'm asked to solve this, and I'm asked to give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So firstly, with this, I have fractions. So the denominators are all fractions. So usually in this case, I would try and get a common denominator. But the only way when I have x's in my fraction that I can get a common denominator is if I multiply all these terms together. So my common denominator is actually going to have to be the denominator of the first one, 3x minus 4, multiplied by the one on the second, multiplied by the last one. That's the only way I can be sure that all these numbers multiply to give the certain denominator. So this is my denominator. So this is going to have to go on the bottom of all of my fractions. So it's going to have to go on the bottom of my first one, and my second, and then finally the last one. So that's my equals, that's my minus. So on the top one, I already had it multiplied by, I already had 3x minus 4 on the bottom. So what I'm actually have done is I've changed the bottom and put a 2x plus 1 and multiplied by a 2. So what I do to the bottom, I have to do the same to the top. So I change the bottom by multiplying by 2x plus 1 and then a 2. So the top also has to be done like that. So the next one, I changed the bottom by multiplying it by a 3x minus 4 and a 2 because a 2x plus 1 was already there. So the top of it will have to be multiplied by 3x minus 4 and a 2. In this one, I changed the bottom, so I multiplied it by a 3x minus 4 and a 2x plus 1. So the top will have to be multiplied by 3x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. So now I have the exact same denominator underneath everything. And when I have the exact same denominator under everything, I can multiply both sides of my equation by 3x plus 4 by 3x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. So I can multiply both sides of my equation by the denominator, and then the fraction will cancel out. So then I'm just left with 2 by 2x plus 1 by 2 minus 1, 3x minus 4 by 2 is equal to 1, 3x minus 4, and then 2x plus 1. So now I'm going to simplify this out. So 2 by 2x gives me 4x. 2 by 1 gives me 2. And that's all multiplied by 2. And then I have minus 1 by 3x. So that's going to be, or I might multiply my minus 1 by my 2 first. So that's going to be minus 2. And that's multiplied by 3x minus 4. And then I just, 1 is just the same as just having nothing in front of it. So I have 3x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. So I might just do that on the side. So 3x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. So when I have two things in a bracket, I actually have to split one of my brackets and then the first half by the second bracket and the next half by the second bracket. So that's going to be 3x by 2x plus 1 and then minus 4 by 2x plus 1. So 3 by 2x gives me 6x squared. 3 by 1 gives me 3x. Minus 4 by 2x gives me minus 8x. Minus 4 by 1 gives me minus 4. So now I might group together the two x's. So 6x squared. So I have 3x minus 8x. So that's going to be minus 5x minus 4. So I can put that back into this place here. So 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. So now I might just go on to another page. So this is what I was left with. So now I'm going to just simplify. So I'll just put a box around that to show that it's separate. So I have to multiply my 4. So if I go on to this part, the next line, so I have to multiply my 2 by my 4x and my 2 by my 2. So 2 by 4x will give me 8x. 2 by 2 will give me 4. And then minus 2 by 3x will give me minus 6x. And minus 2 by minus 4 will give me plus 8. And now I just keep going with my 6x squared minus 5x minus 4 because we already dealt with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get so I'm going to simplify it a little bit first. So I have 8x minus 6x, so that's going to be 2x. I have 4 plus 8, so that's going to be plus 12. So is equal to 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. So now I'm going to try to get everything on the same side because it looks like I'm going to have a quadratic. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I'll have 6x squared minus 5x minus 4 minus 2. And I'll minus 2x, I'll subtract minus 2x from both sides. And I might also subtract minus 12 from both sides. So then they cancel as well. There won't be any left on this side. So now I have everything onto the one side. So I'll just tidy up a little bit. So I have minus 5x minus 2x. So that's going to be minus 7x. And minus 4, so minus 4 minus 12, so that's going to give me minus 16 is equal to 0. So now, so it says give your answer correct to one decimal place. So usually that's kind of a hint that we might need to use the minus b formula. But say if we were to go about this, so I use the guide number method generally, so I would be looking for the factors of minus 96 that add to give minus 7. So factors of minus 96. So I could have 6 and 16. So that's one pair of factor. But I'm not going to get out minus 7 from those. And I think I'm going to have to use a minus b formula. And because they have said correct to one decimal place, I think that might be the best option. So my equation was that I just got, so 6x squared minus 7x minus 16 is equal to 0. So if I'm to use the minus b formula, so the minus b formula is in our log tables. It's on page 20 in our log tables, and that's it here. So it's x is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we have to figure out what's a, what's b, and what's c. So they give us the format ax squared plus bx plus c. So we have to match our equation up to this. So we have 6x squared minus 7x minus 16 is equal to 0. So our A is going to be equal to 6, our B is minus 7, and our C is minus 16. So our A is 6, our B is minus 7, and our C is minus 16. So now we have to sub this into our formula. So it's minus B, so minus 7 plus or minus B squared. So it's minus 7 squared minus 4A, which is 6, and C, which is minus 16, all over 2A, which is 6. And then, so that's minus 7, so that's plus 7, plus or minus, so minus 7 squared is going to be 49. And then we have, 4 by 6 by 16. So the minus by a plus gives me a minus, and then the minus by a minus, so that's going to be a plus. So that's plus 384. And then that's all over 2 by 6, which is 12. So 384 and 49, so 7 plus or minus the square root of 433 over 12. So I'm asked to give your answers correct to 2 decimal places, so I have to work out. So the first answer will be 7 plus the square root of 433 over 12, and the next answer will be 7 minus the square root of 433 over 12. So if I work out each of them, so 7 plus, so I'll fraction 7 plus the square root of 433 over 12, and then I get, so x is equal to they want 1 decimal place, so 2.3, and then my next answer I just have to put in a minus, so then I get x is equal to minus 1.2, so minus 1.2 for my second answer. And that is our equation solved for that. So that's that.